put it in a ponytail and have a sweet man bun. I have been feeling the energies. I'm sure y'all are feeling the energies out there, the incredibly dense energies. I checked the Schumann Resonance report, and there was nothing to update. They did have a big blackout on the Schumann, so I don't know if they're trying to hide the information from us or anything like that. But anyway, I was like really feeling the energies, and I was like feeling exhausted. I don't know if y'all are feeling exhausted out there. So anyway, I came in, laid in bed, and I have a wire that I have running from it's an electrical cord, and so it's running from the inside of my bed to out to the ground. And I know they make like the little grounding mats and sheets and stuff like that. Remember my mom got real sick a while back. I got her one of those grounding mats. I think it helped. I mean, I'm not sure. There's no scientific, we didn't do any scientific studies or anything like that to see if it helped, but I know that those grounding mats do work. So I did the poor man's DIY grounding mat. I should just buy one. And I ran this wire out to the copper that is poked into the bottom of the ground out there, and I think that it works. I think that I originally had it on, you know how they make those visors, those big sun visors. I probably spent as much money making a DIY one as I would have to just have bought one. But anyway, I had the you know, those big visors that they put in the windshields of the cars. You know, the reflective ones. I was like, this looks like it's metal, so I took some of that and some of the metal tape. I know that they say to put it on your sheets, you know, and you just tape it down with your sheets. I didn't want to be sleeping on aluminum really, and I don't know if that other stuff, the sun visors, I don't know if those are made of aluminum either, but I didn't really want to be laying on aluminum, so I taped it to the sun visors, and then they ripped off of the sun visors. So I was like, I'll just tie it to my wrist right here, and then that way if anybody's ever breaking in the middle of the night, then I can just be stuck to the bed and not be able to know what's going on. I'll be able to disoriented, trying to grab this rifle over here, keep a rifle above my bed for the you know, just in case any like tax pirates or anything come in, try to break into the house in the middle of the night. This is what I should do. You know, the plan is plan. You know, I haven't told you the amazing news. Okay, so a few months ago, I was wanting to become an explorer or whatever, and I started wearing that cool cowboy hat, you know, wanted to be the Indiana Jones hat. And so, you know, Will Rogers one time said, oh, let me pause this. Gotta remember to pause that every once in a while, or else it'll delete the entire video like what just happened. So anyway, Will Rogers one time, he said that if you don't know who Will Rogers was, he was like an old-time movie cowboy guy. He was a real well-known. He once said that he never met a man that he did not like. So it kind of tells you the caliber of his character. But anyway, what he was saying with the other part is he was saying that people will become whatever character, whatever role that they take on, for whatever costume that they take on. And so he was like, be careful about whatever costume that you put on. And then that brings us to like the Stafford prison experiments, where they took two groups of people, they took them to a prison, they're like tourists or something like that. They took them to a prison, they gave one of the groups prison outfits, and then they gave the other group guard outfits. And I think it was just by the end of the day, I don't know, I don't think they stayed there multiple days. But anyway, the guards ended up being almost abusive, and sometimes abusive to the other people that were in the prisoner outfits that had never committed any crimes. That's how crazy human beings are, that they will literally just take on whatever role, just like, you know, they say to train an ant circus. Okay, the way that you train, or not an ant circus, a flea circus. Okay, so the way that you train a flea circus is you take one flea and you put it in a jar. You take multiple fleas, you put them in a jar, then you put a lid on the jar, right? And then the fleas will like go and bang their head on the lid over and over and over and over again. And then eventually, because the pain gets intense or whatever, and I don't know if you've seen any of that old footage that they have actual flea circuses back from the old days where they had like little merry-go-rounds, what are they called? The ferry-go-rounds. So anyway, they had the little ferry-go-rounds with the fleas jumping all over the place. And so anyway, they would put them in the jar, they would go hit their head over and over and over again, and eventually the flea is like, I'm tired of hurting, I'm tired of hitting my head, I'm going to stop making these same decisions over and over again. Like Einstein said, you know, definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. I know I'm going crazy over here. It's probably because I'm hooked up to the energy of the earth. And so anyway, you take the fleas that have been put in that jar, you can then dump them out of the jar, and then they'll jump just at that same level, right below where the lid was at the jar. And then the way that you unprogram those programmed fleas is you take regular fleas that have never had that programming, and then you show them to the programmed fleas, and then the programmed fleas will automatically break and snap from that programming that they had from having their heads hit on the jar. And so we're kind of like programmable like that. And so people really need to really be guided by their own morals, their own moral compass, because if not, then they're going to be guided by other people that they give their authority away to. And that's kind of the way that we have all been trained and indoctrinated from the time that we're really young is, we go to school, or first off, we have our mom and our dad, or, whatever, and, look up to them, and they're the authority figure, and they're basically God to you at that point whenever you're a little kid. And then you go and your parents drop you off at school or preschool or whatever, then they look up to you there, and, the teacher's God, or the principal's God. And the principals, back when I was in like elementary school or whatever, they still had spanking and stuff like that. They were just doing away with it. I it was like terrifying to think of going into a room with a stranger. How weird that is, that they like still push that, like baby boomers and some other people still push hitting children. If you think that it's okay to hit a kid for doing something that you don't like, then by that, because they're not as big as you, or you think you have authority over them, then it's the same concept of you think that you have the right to hit a woman because they have, they're smaller than you, or, you're thinking you're supposed to have authority over you, or they're doing something that you don't like. It's the same mentality. To get back on track, you got to pause this every once in a while, or else it might delete the entire video. But you have to really gauge a person based on their ability to tell authority figures no, because 80% of the people can't tell an authority figure no. And they showed that in the Milgram experiments. And I know that I've talked about this a whole lot, but to really grasp the gravitas of what the Milgram experiments are, of how regular people, about 80% of regular people don't have the ability to tell somebody in a lab coat no. And so you've seen what has happened over the last few years of the mass majority of people being able to hold control over the minority, because that's the way that it's working. It's not this minority that's afraid of, I guess they are afraid of like authority figures and doctors and the other people with uniforms and whatnot, but they're more afraid of, and this is an old David Icke thing that he used to talk about, and they would be afraid of what their neighbors think or what their mom thinks. They're not worried about what their politician is thinking. The politician's not thinking about them at all. They're thinking about lining their own pockets. And so it's really good to like surround yourself with people that are like-minded, that are not going to be able to like give into authority so willingly. And that's what I try to do for myself. You have to try to like bring a sense of independence, but also a sense of unity with other groups of like-minded people. We got amazing, crazy stuff going on too. It's amazing what you can do with your mind. How I will think of stuff and then it will just like happen, like big things. And there's some really big developments going on right now. Can't talk about a lot of it. It's all still secretive and under wraps. Only the special people get to know about certain things right now. But I'll just say that I put on that Indiana Jones hat, and then some crazy, amazing things started happening with like people contact me about ancient alien artifacts. That's what I'm going to do. And I was talking about my hair so much in the video yesterday about what I want to do with it. I'm just going to grow it longer and longer, right? And then eventually I'm going to be like the ancient aliens guy. And with the hair, it's just going to grow and grow. And then eventually it's going to fall over to the back. And then I'm going to be able